Alrighty. Hey everybody. Holy smoke. Welcome. Yesterday, we took the nooner off. I'd like to say it was in honor of MLK Day, but the reality was, Daddy was just too darn busy. So, welcome. Appreciate you participating today. Jose Garza showed up, Laura showed up, Bill showed up. Thank you guys for being here. Today we're going to be talking about your basic entry point for creating wealth. Who wants to create some wealth? I'm in. We got a Meerkat Unnamed here. Who's this? I'm going to make sure I do a shout out. Michelle. Welcome, Michelle. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you guys also in advance for all the favors and the restreams. So, episode 94 of The Nooner. And I am your host. My name is David Bradley. Every weekday, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time, I'm dropping a little noontime nugget about either sales, business, or life. The way I see it, 12 o'clock noon, 3 p.m. on the East Coast, motivation may be dwindling. I know Bill's in the UK, so Bill's wrapping his... motivation may be dwindling. I know Bill's in the UK, so Bill's wrapping up his day. So the purpose of this is to give you some motivation to take with you into the rest of your day. Look, the motivation is fuel. It's food for your brain, right? The mere fact that we're going to be thinking about creating wealth today is we're head and shoulders above half, if not more than half, of the United States of America. They're thinking about getting by, right? That ain't us, okay? We're looking at, man, how do we create something massive here? How do we create something big for ourselves, something that will last us into generations? You know, you create enough wealth, and you can become immortal. I'll explain that in a little bit. But just start thinking with that, okay? So, 2 things I want to make sure I get accomplished before we get into the nooner. 3 things, actually, I'm sorry. Let's just introduce myself and get that out of the way. First of all, my name is David Bradley. I'm a sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone. I've been working with Grant for, it'll be 5 years in March. Grant's technology took me from barely surviving in sales to thriving in it. In 2011, I got an opportunity to give this to other people and to make that not just my profession, but my career, where I get to help other people become better today than they were yesterday. What we do in our company is we can increase production for you and your salespeople 15 to 30% just out of the chute, simply by helping you guys find and then handle missed opportunities. So if you think about where some opportunity in your business might be leaking out, I can show you some ways to plug that leak. And look, 75% of what we do here is 100% free. It will cost you nothing to have a conversation with me, but I promise you when we're done, you'll have something really beneficial that you can take forward with you. 2 other things on me that may be of some interest or value to you. I'm the author of a book called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. I smoked cigarettes for, 15 years-ish. Okay, tried to quit, couldn't quite figure it out. But I did find a way to stop. Now, there's a difference between stopping and quitting. That's part of the book. And it's not just semantics, I'm telling you, it's huge. And so what that book details is the things that the conclusions I drew, and the techniques that I used to master and to not smoke anymore. So if you smoke, if you've got a habit that you want to kick, this book can help. If you know somebody that's struggling with that, got a monkey on their back, this book will help, promise you that. If they follow it, they won't smoke ever again. Okay? 3rd thing on me, so the website for that, stopdon'tquit.com. Check that out. You can also hit up Amazon, How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. It's available in paperback. It's also available on the Kindle. All right, so 3rd thing on me, founder of a hashtag called Rich Man's Gym. This will be my next book. I'm working on it right now. The target is release late March, Late March, get this thing out. Commit first, figure it out later. So, but it's work in progress, and that's the goal. So, and I'm not lowering my target. All right, so that book and Rich Man's Gym is about home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit. I do not believe you got to go to the gym to get in the best shape of your life. You can do that from home. You can do it in the backyard, do it in the garage, do it at the local park. Okay, find a set of stairs and a tree you can hang some Olympic rings from. You got yourself a gym. Okay, any place you can lug a kettlebell, pair of dumbbells, you're in the gym. Okay, so that's those are the three things on me. Okay, so today we're going to be doing creating wealth, but I want to handle two quick things. Number one, yesterday was Martin Luther King Day. Over on Facebook, I changed my profile to show a quote from him. It says, "I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Okay, so that's my advice to you. Stick with love. If you got some hate on you, find some ways to release it. Okay, so that's first thing. Second thing, I want to shout out and a thank you, a big fat shout out and a big fat thank you to Mr. Glenn Fry for all you have contributed to rock and roll and to music and to Winslow, Arizona. I'm a big Eagles fan. In fact, my neighbor right now, he's got the Eagles cranked. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I can. It's in the background. So he's paying some tribute today. But so what I want to invite you guys to do at some point, fire up some Eagles. Fire up some Glenn Fry. If you got that Miami Vice soundtrack from the 80s, man, let's fire up some Smuggler's Blues. But let's pay some tribute to Mr. Fry for everything he's done for music, for rock and roll. Yeah. So remember what I said about Bowie, though, right? I'm not into this rest in peace thing because I don't think any of these guys, when they pass on, rest. There's way too much to do. And now that you've transcended your body, you've got so many more options, the last thing you're probably going to do is rest. I know I won't. So thank you is a better way to pay tribute, in my opinion. So thank you, Glenn Fry, for everything you've done. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? This is creating wealth. And today's topic is going to be based on Grant's strategy of the week. Wouter Scholiers. I don't know if I pronounced that right or not, but thank you for being here. Appreciate you participating in the Nooner. Welcome. Creating wealth. And what is the basic entry point to creating wealth? Grant has a strategy that went out on January 15th, so he does this every Friday. That's how I like to start my week, with taking that strategy and breaking it down. I should close with some. Let me see if I can do that. I want to make sure I'm respecting copyright, but good idea, Jose. Thank you for that. Grant's strategy last week was about a financial plan or a budget. That's the question. And then within that strategy, he throws out this question, which is what got me going, that a financial plan differs from a budget, and it's the basic entry point for creating wealth. So let's just go over this a little bit, shall we? Money is what? What do we hear? What if you have to fill that in? Money is the. I'll give you guys a moment to type that in while I sip my espresso. Money is the root. Come on, you guys, you know this, right? Money's the root of all evil, right? So, is that accurate? Do you believe that? Because Grant will tell you, and a lot of people talk about the lack of money is the root of all evil, but Grant will say that, hey, it could be actually the lack of knowledge about money is the cause of most people's financial problems. And I will tell you from personal experience, what I have learned about money from Grant has been head and shoulders over anything I ever thought I was being taught in school or from family or anything you listen to on the radio. There's a completely different paradigm. And that being said, I think I'm at like the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. Okay? So we all have like really weird data, I think. Sometimes it's false about money and about finances and financial strategies and budgets, and then what debt is, what's good debt, what's bad debt, right? What really income is, what it should be about, how to produce more of it, right? So a couple reminders from this that I want you guys to make sure you're clear on. If you want to jot some of this stuff down, you can. If you don't have a pen, you want to get this later, you want to come back to it, it'll be up on YouTube later today. If you go to youtube.com/Cardone Solutions, there's a playlist there called The Nooner, where you can get repeats of every nooner I've ever done. So there are a couple of reminders. Number one, money is not scarce. Okay, and this is important. It's not, first of all, most of it's paper, or it's an ornament, it's coin, it's something printed or stamped or pressed. It's just man-made stuff that's been assigned a value. And it's abundant. You find it laying on the ground. So I was walking with a buddy of mine once, and I picked up a penny, and he's like, "What are you doing, dude?" "It's a penny. It's nothing. It's worthless." I'm like, "Listen, the reason I pick it up, it's not because it's going to bring me wealth. But I always pick up pennies and coins. When I see money on the ground, I always pick it up because it reminds me that money is so abundant that people can casually discard it." You ever lost $1 and you're like, whatever. The big whoop. You ever lost a 20? Kind of pisses you off a little bit. And you're like, Lose 100. Now you're kind of, that sucks, but whatever. Okay. So I pick it up because it reminds me of how abundant money is. It's everywhere. Okay. Just because you can produce income, this is your next reminder. Just because you can produce income doesn't mean you can manage it. Okay. There's a lot of salespeople in the world that fall into that category. Right? They go out, they make a bunch of money, they get a big fat check, and they're flat ass broke, struggling again. And that's their method of operating. I don't agree with it, but that's how a lot of guys roll. Okay, you can't manage, or you can't manage what you can't create. So if you don't know how to create wealth or create income, then you really can't manage it. And then number 4 is money is the only element, or is not, excuse me, money is not the only element of happiness, but it's an important piece of it, though. Wouldn't you agree? Bill says, the love of money is the root of all. Yeah, exactly, right? So, and then is money a means of exchange? Is money a means of exchange mechanism for goods, services that people need, want, or like? Yeah, exactly, right? So, which is what I'm talking about. So, it's not, money doesn't buy you happiness, right? Should we go to the Beatles right now, Bill? You want to do it, right? I don't care too much for money because money can't buy me love. On Glenn Friday, we're going to quote the Beatles. Man, sorry about that, Glenn. But if I want to do something that would really make me happy, right? Like take my wife to the UFC fights, right? We're big Ronda Rousey fans. So when she does her return fight, wouldn't it be cool to be able to just pack up and go? Okay, that costs money, but that would deliver large amounts of happiness. Right? So it's a big fat piece of it, I believe, happiness. So a financial plan, though, here's your big fat FYI, speaking of big and fat, a big fat FYI. A financial plan differs from a budget, and it's the basic entry point for creating wealth. So let's look at that. Because this is why when I said earlier 75% of what we do here is 100% free, there's tremendous value in these strategies that Grant sends out. I mean, tremendous value. Just being able to wrap your head around that a financial plan is not a budget and then really like dissect that, which is what we're about to do, that's huge, okay? So what is it? Grant says this: it serves as a roadmap for creating finances and correctly managing your income. It's the financial motivation that takes you to work every day. So we're going beyond now just paying bills, just getting by, okay? So now what? You got to know your budget now. What's coming in and what's going out. How much are you spending? Okay. One thing that I learned from Grant early on that kind of changed my perspective a little bit about money was you don't have a spending problem. You have an income problem. I like the way of looking at that. That's different. That puts me in control. People with spending problems are typically, addicts, out of control. I can control my income. So can you. Figure out, okay, so now what? Know your budget, what's going in, what's going out. Number 2 is to figure out how much money you actually need to bring in monthly in order to create solvency and get all that you want accomplished. Okay? So know how much is going in, know what's going out, but really, what do I want? What are your goals and your dreams? Big ones, the real ones, right? And things that get you jacked up, okay? And that's going to cost some coin, right? So how do I get it, right? Okay, so, but I used a word that we may not know the full definition of. So let's go to solvency. The simple definition of solvency, according to dictionary Merriam-Webster, is the state of being able to pay debts. Okay, so as an individual or a company, you're solvent. If you're in a position, you've got enough income to pay the debt. Regardless if it's good debt or bad debt, you can pay it. You've got the means to do that. Okay, now in the strategy, Grant says the solvency is defined as the ability of an entity to pay its debts with available cash, or the ability of a corporation or individual to meet long-term fixed expenses and accomplish long-term expansion and growth. So, are you solvent? Are you solvent? Bill's got a comment here. Bill says, Grant's newest 2-hour video done in Austin at the Freedom Fast Lane is on your lines. How to blow up your business. Yeah, totally. That if you guys haven't seen that, that's over on GCTV, GrantCardoneTV.com. Lethal, powerful stuff. So, in terms of solvency, the more solvent you are, the better off you are financially. But if you're not solvent, then you can't function, even as an individual. And when you're no longer, and when you don't have solvency and you don't have cash coming in, then you're bankrupt. So, what Grant says, so check this out. So solvency is a different concept from profitability. This is an important piece too. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, so we'll do it together, okay? And the reason I haven't wrapped my head around it is my clue to know that this is an important piece. Solvency is a different concept from profitability, okay? Which refers to your ability to earn a profit. So after the cost of something is handled, the money left over is profit. Okay, that's not solvency. Solvency, again, the ability to pay down debt or pay off debt. But profitability means there's money left over, real money. Okay, so if you're not profitable and you're not solvent, then you're bankrupt. You're SOL. Hit the bricks, pal. Okay. So now this is what Grant will tell you, is that this is where a lot of people, most people, get confused or fail when it comes to financial planning. So the question is, how solvent are you? Are you all caught up in the budget piece, paying down your debt? You're just trying to stay solvent, barely, right? Are you like you're being bogged down by a car payment or mortgage, credit cards, your gas and electric, cable, insurance, all that stuff, right? But there's a more important issue here, which is your future, where you're going. Where are you going to be in 20 or 30 years? If you spend, because look, time that fast, right? So if you're barely solvent now and you're all tripped up in that, next thing you know, man, 20 years have gone by and you're still struggling. And you've decided that you'll never get ahead because there's no real financial plan. You've just been budgeting. See the difference? Right? You got to plan for something bigger. So think about where you want to go. You want to have, 10 million in the bank. Enough retirement. residual income. These are things you have to create. Because if you're stuck in budget zone, you're never going to pull ahead. That makes sense? So Grant says a true financial plan should clearly state your monetary goals. It should outline exactly how you're going to create surpluses of money, what you're going to do with those surpluses, okay, and then how to manage and invest that money. A plan suggests that you're doing something to make things happen. It's not a historic evaluation of what has been done already. That is your budget. Make sense? So you want to literally take some time to look at the difference between your financial plan and your budget. And if you spend all your time on budget, you'll never create the plan. You'll never get there. Okay, that's the point. So you want to take some real time to just determine how much you actually need. Solvent, to make you solvent. Right, Bill says crisis management. Yeah, that's right. If you're just stuck in crisis management, you never get ahead. Okay, and that applies to everything. You look at some sports teams, right? Some sports teams out there, if they're behind, then they're in crisis management, right? Versus if they're ahead, they just the good team keeps pushing to get ahead, get further and further and further away. That's profitability, right? If they're just winning, barely winning, they're solvent, but they're not killing it, right? They're not into profitability yet. Does that make sense? I think basketball team, like a basketball score, would be a good way to analogize profitability and solvency. So, what are we talking about here? Number one, there's no shortage of money on planet Earth, so if you want it, you can get it. Okay? The shortages come in when it comes for planning, motivating, being courageous, taking action, following through. Those are where the shortages are. And then once you've got this plan, what do? You got your financial plan, so you've done it, right? If you're asking that question, okay, I've got my financial plan and I work in a restaurant. You got to get yourself into sales. You're in sales now. I got my financial plan, but whatever the but is, that's your cue that it's time to skill up. You got to sharpen your saw. You got to get very, very good at producing and creating income. This is a skill set that not only do you develop, but you have to continue to develop and maintain over and over and over and over and over again. Now, we have multiple ways to skill up in sales and in business. I can help you with that. If you'd like some information on some ways you can skill up, email me, david@grantcardone.com. Tweet me at David R. Bradley. Call me direct, 310-777-0352, and I will show you some very, very highly cost-effective ways that you can skill up quick. Okay, so that's episode 94 of The Nooner. We will see you guys tomorrow. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. I'm not participating in hump day. I'm on grind day on Wednesday. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you hanging out with me. This has been episode 94. The basic entry point of creating wealth is what? Financial plan. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow.